so high, I'm hypnotized. What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through.
We are now live.
All right. Greetings, everybody. So I hope you guys are having a great summer. We're getting the monsoon here in Arizona. So not only is it hot, it's a little humid too. So a little unbearable on all ends. So, but beyond that, guys, I hope you guys are if your weather is capable, you're out flying. But tonight we got some articles for you, and we got some feedback from Alex and Rob on the FAA symposium, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But I got a couple of articles that I want to share, and we'll kind of tag off of there. Whoa.
Sorry, that was just from my room.
All right, so let me get these pulled up here.
Long story short, my pet parrot is in the room with me, so he may be
all
making
right,
some noise.
hey, that's all right. We're cool with the birds. I got 2 parakeets, so all right. Let's see. So first up on the list is our we've got heavy lift drones are flying cargo to offshore wind turbines in 4 minutes. So this comes from Electrek. Danish renewable giant Ørsted is deploying heavy lift cargo drones for the first time in an operational campaign at a Dutch offshore wind farm. The heavy lift cargo drone will transport cargo from a vessel to all 94 wind turbines at the 752 megawatt Borssele, I'm assuming, 1 and 2 offshore wind farm. The Ørsted trialed heavy lift drones last year at UK's Hornsea 1 offshore wind farm, and it's now using 70 kilogram drones, which have a wingspan of 2.6 meters or 8.5 feet to transport cargo weighing up to 100 kilograms or 220 pounds in an actual operations campaign. That's insane. That's a lot of weight. I think that's the biggest weight I've ever seen or heard of a drone carrying besides military grade drones. Anybody else?
A little bit over the small S or the SUAS category, hey?
Yeah, just a smidge, right? But let's see. For Borssele 1 and 2 campaign, Ørsted will update some critical evacuation and safety equipment in each of its offshore wind turbine. Normally, a vessel would sail from one turbine to the next using a crane to lift each box containing the equipment onto the transition piece, after which the box would be lifted with the nacelles crane to reach the nacelle and then be moved to the top of the turbine. That sounds like a long process.
Sounds like an awful lot of work. They move a boat around from wind turbine to wind turbine and use a crane to lift stuff up to the top, and instead they've just got a ship that's out sort of in the middle, and then drones fly around and hit all the wind turbines that they can as they're going by. And what did it say?
That's awesome.
It saved them tons and tons of time.
Yeah, it says 10 to 15 times faster than normal. That's awesome. I mean, that is a lot.
Yeah. Now, this is a success story for delivery drones, right?
Absolutely.
Delivering
100%.
to the tops of wind turbines out in the ocean.
Very cool. Absolutely. That's really cool. So props to them for figuring that out. Let's see. I don't think it shows
Alex,
a
you
picture
might know. I have no idea. What's the regulatory agency for international air above international waters?
I have no idea. KO?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Isn't there something about the nearest large country, or
or whatever flag it's flying under? Or the vessel of the boat, the flag of the boat.
Oh, I'll take that as a homework assignment.
There you go.
Did it say what it's powered by? Is it hybrid, electric?
Let's see.
I don't think I remember it saying anything about that.
No, it doesn't.
Gas. because that'd be interesting to see that. I'd probably guess it's a hybrid.
Yeah, or maybe
gas.
hydrogen or something.
I don't know if hydrogen's ready for that though. Yeah.
Interesting. That's cool though. I will also take that as a homework assignment to see if they've got any details on that drone. So that's really cool. All right. So on the news of DJI, I think we hit at least an article every town hall on DJI. But DJI's ultra compact DJI Neo drone leaks ahead of reveal. So I guess a website in Mexico accidentally posted this stuff a little ahead of time, and so we've got the DJI Neo will be the lightest drone yet, weighing in at 135 grams. It can take off and land from your palm while still having the ability to shoot stabilized 4K video. So presumably, and again, take all leaks for what they are. I just found it. I'm just, I didn't leak it. I didn't see it. I'm just reporting on it. Doesn't appear to have a folding design, so it's going to be a little more like the Avata. Should feature AI object tracking, quick shots, multiple control options, and full coverage propeller guards. No official word on pricing, but the standalone should cost $299, while the Fly More combo clocks in at $329. The articles there were other articles here. It doesn't say if it's compatible with the FPV goggles, but people are sort of thinking it might be. So that would be interesting, but it's a small little guy.
Those prop guards look removable.
Yeah, they do. It looks like it almost just snaps off the side, which is kind of cool.
It just looks like a cover for it. It looks like the guard is just part of the shell, but then there's a mesh net that you can take off.
Yeah. So maybe that'll be like a silicone or something slightly a little more TPU-ish that can slide off the sides if you don't want to run.
Yeah, so. Josh, I saw it could have been photoshopped, but I saw a screenshot of, I guess, some beta software for the goggles that had that aircraft listed as one of the options in the menu. So either somebody spent a lot of time photoshopping it, or the goggles rumor is accurate.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Definitely a useful little tool there. So looking forward to that. That's pretty cool. All right. So Unusual Machines FPV flight controller approved for Blue UAS framework. Let's see. Unusual Machines drone components manufacturer today announced its Rotor Riot Brave F7 flight controller has been approved for inclusion on the Blue UAS framework list. This significant milestone underscores Unusual Machines' commitment to providing secure, reliable, and domestically manufactured drone components. So they said, we are thrilled to have the Rotor Riot Brave F7 flight controller approved for Blue UAS framework, said Alan Evans, the CEO of Unusual Machines. The certification reinforces our mission to support the American drone industry with high-quality, domestically manufactured components. We know procurement can be a challenge, and see the DIU and Blue process as the best way to facilitate DoD in using FPV drones. So there's the new flight controller there. That just got announced today. So good on them. That's awesome that they were able to get approved for the Blue UAS framework. So that's pretty cool.
Unusual Machines and Rotor Riot are both owned by the same company, right?
Rotor Riot is owned by Unusual Machines, right? Yeah.
I forget how did Red Cat change their name, or did they?
No, they divested Unusual Machines, creating a new company, which so Unusual Machines has reporting to it Fat Shark and Rotor Riot.
Okay.
And Red Cat, I think, retains Teal and the other companies that they acquired.
Yeah. So, but anyway, good on Rotor Riot for getting that knocked out. That's definitely awesome and a good deal there. So, anything else on that one, guys?
Yeah, just of note is that this is great because this is there's some changes happening in the blue UAS that are down to component. Previously, blue UAS was restricting admittance to their
UAS.
list. It had to be a full aircraft. So this is great, and it's nice that components are being accepted.
So how does that work then? If you have this flight controller, do you need all the components to be on the list, or is
So,
this just like the beginning of what you could start to do, but you can't do anything with it yet because not your whole aircraft isn't on the list?
So, I mean, what you can do is, let's say you've got a component, you can utilize various components that are on that list to put together a DoD would be able to kind of pick and choose components to build the aircraft that they're looking for, as opposed to having to do that, having to have a complete UAS.
And if you make an aircraft, the more content is U.S. based, the better. And so picking up components that are blue UAS gives you a better pedigree, is my understanding.
Yeah.
So I would expect more components to be added to this list, so you can actually build something from components that are all on the list, hopefully someday.
Yeah, and it's not an easy process to get done either. I mean, you have to have, I mean, I've looked into this. You have to have a sponsor or somebody who wants to use your equipment. Usually those sponsors are, high up in the military chain of command. And I mean, there's a whole process to this.
Yeah, and there's also another document with the organization that manages Blue UAS is opening up for comments, and it's a quick turnaround. We have comments due, I think, August 9 and then August 12. So we need to get that out, share it, take a look at it, see if there's anything that we can comment on.
So let's see here.
Yeah, it's good to see there's more component level stuff being produced, but at the end of the day, we can build a flying machine, but the sensory equipment, the sensors, the optics, everything else on it, that's really the critical part of it that I feel like we're the most lacking in right now, because there's no consumer targeted, FPV targeted optics, out there right now. You can't do a whole lot on FPV without optics.
Agreed. Yeah. Happily, HD0 is a U.S. company with manufacturing currently in mainland China, possibly moving. And you absolutely agree. And when you think of DJI that they purchased Hasselblad, pretty amazing. That type of technology, and of course other sensor technology like FLIR, happily a U.S. company. On the infrared, but absolutely agree, Rob. And it's the various sensors that make these things interesting.
Absolutely. That the sensors and the software, I mean, is really what sets DJI apart from a lot of other companies, for sure. All right. So I'm going to just kind of cover this real quick, and then I will pause and let Alex and Rob kind of chime in here and there. But this comes from Drone Life, and Dawn Zoldi wrote this as to her experience at the FAA Drone Symposium. And so real quick, I'm just going to call out a couple ones that are interesting. So BV loss rulemaking, part 108. Now, this is something that we've thought about for a long time, and I know was a part of some of the DAC or AC subcommittee groups. But the FAA plans to provide a draft rule either by the end of this year or at the beginning of next year. Despite the fact that historically the FAA has pushed out rules during Christmas holiday. That's super epic of them. Think remote ID. I'm betting on a post January 6th launch. Also, in light of UC President Michael Robbins' keynote comment to the effect of "Let's not let perfect be the enemy of the good." I'm also thinking that, like remote ID, the final BV loss rule may look different from the draft. And he threw a little jab in there to, I would imagine, FPV and Tyler Brennan, and he's just said, let's just hope there's no lawsuit to hold it up further. So little jab, I guess, there. This rule, Section 2209, this rule focused on protecting critical infrastructure, which Congress mandated back in 2016, re-upped in 2018, and re-emphasized in this path. Reauthorization will reportedly launch in conjunction with the BV loss rule. It is unclear if it will be part of Part 108 or standalone with a simultaneous push, similar to how Ops Over People and At Night launched with a remote ID. Given Congress' lack of forward movement on what I'll call related counter UAS legislation, let's see, this rule may be hyper limited. 2209 purports to merely create a bubble around CI. I'm not sure what CI is. I'm sorry.
Critical infrastructure.
Thank you. Appreciate that. It does not bestow authority for critical infrastructure owners, operators to track or mitigate anything that might pierce that bubble. So, UAS traffic management, or UTM, seems to be alive and well, at least at the key site in Dallas-Fort Worth area. And Rob, you kind of talked about that last time, I believe. And especially after the recent announcement of the FAA's approval of both wing and zip line to perform strategic deconfliction. What many may not realize is that this process took several years. Now, 1 full year after the FAA announced the near-term approval process for UTM that these companies leveraged for these approvals, we have a total of 3 such approvals granted. Vantis in North Dakota. Let's see, considering some other timelines, this is still relatively fast. And then counter UAS still remains stymied. Discussions at the symposium clearly indicated a desire by critical infrastructure owners and public safety for counter UAS tech and the legal authority to use it. Despite the publication of the first ever domestic counter unmanned aircraft systems national action plan 2 years ago, Congress seems to be waiting for the big one to take action on this critically important issue. And then remote ID. Drone responders said that only about 25% of UAS users are remote ID compliant. I would say that's probably on the high end too, to be honest with you. Will the push for network ID? Right. Will the push for network remote ID in the latest reauthorization matter? Not sure, but this safety and security gap, especially when coupled with the lack of counter UAS, I'm of 2 minds of that. So what are your guys' thoughts on some of the stuff that you guys were a part of there at the symposium?
So the symposium was pretty well put together, except like it was mostly just panels, but the panels had a lot of information. A lot of stuff was talked about. Part 108, that was a lot of the talks, like, oh, it's coming soon, end of the year. I didn't actually hear anyone say early next year. So when Don mentioned early next year, that was actually the first I heard it, because throughout the entire conference they said by the end of the year.
Maybe she's just taking by the end of this year to mean FAA speak for next year.
I wouldn't be surprised. But when I was there, I brought a couple of my racing drones. I was the only one who brought drones to a drone conference, so that was interesting. So, but yeah, lots of people there. The FAA was there to answer the questions that we had. They couldn't run away as easily. And I even got to talk with Michael Robbins for a little bit, and invited him out to a local race. So he might be coming out to a local race by me sometime soon, and hopefully show him what racing's like and get him under goggles.
And who's
Michael Robbins, the new CEO of AUVSI.
So stuff like that. And when I talked to them about some feedback, they seem to be fairly receptive about feedback. So we'll see next year if they take some of that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's lots of new things, but mostly a commercial focus, I would say. It's not. We had to ask about recreational. It wasn't necessarily just given out there.
Right. Rob, what were your takes, sir?
You see, I actually pulled over here, so I'm gonna put the camera on.
I could start by saying, Alex, not a lot of recreational people would spend the money to go to a conference like that. But you and Rob are lucky that our supporters have helped pay for you guys to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the members definitely very helpful and grateful for.
Yeah, we owe a big thank you to them too. That definitely made this possible. So I took a lot of good notes. I'll just kind of skim through and hit the highlights of things that I think would be important or relevant or things that would be interesting to y'all. You mentioned the counter UAS stuff in the article. They specified that they're working through the framework of that, but their intention is to require a federally backed training at a Department of Justice facility for any tribal, territorial, state, local kind of entities to actually do counter. So I really like that. That way you don't have everybody just John Wayne things. You know, they're going to have like a standard that they have to meet and go through like actual training at a federal facility. So that's kind of interesting. They're going to be publishing those standards. They also mentioned that the Before You Fly app, as we know, that kind of migrated into most of the lance providers. The FAA specifically mentioned that, hey, before you fly, you're supposed to go and check the NOTAM database search as well. So they were pressed a little bit on this, and one of the FAA reps said that if you look at the bottom of the Before You Fly integrations, there's a little disclaimer that says that this isn't the end-all be-all of notifications, and you're still responsible for checking your NOTAMs. So just you know, out of curiosity, I ran a NOTAM search of the area that would impact me, and there was over 100 NOTAMs to decipher through. So that's kind of a problem. That's actually a very big problem. There was a professor from some defense institute that really let into him about that, because they're saying they're working on it. He said it's 2024, it's code, it's software, fix it. So more to come on that. I think that's going to be I hope that's going to be addressed.
So
they
are
mentioned
some of the NOTAMs in the apps, but not all of them? Because I
correct.
certainly see a
Yeah.
lot of them there.
Yeah.
A lot of them are in there. But
part
Go ahead, Alex.
I was just going to say, part of the reason for the split of Before You Fly to multiple counterparts is so that it could provide a clear indicator of you can and cannot fly there. And so, like, even that part of Before You Fly, that was the intention, gives you a clear indicator, still doesn't fulfill that.
Well, you know, I consider myself pretty brushed up on the rules and regs, but they threw this one out there, and I didn't know this. So the example they gave was you have a naval vessel that's ported in your city. I don't think you got to worry about that, Josh, even in this monsoon. But you cannot fly within 3,000 lateral feet of a naval vessel, or you risk prosecution, and you can actually be shot down. I Googled it. Sure enough, that's accurate. It's on the FAA website. Who knew? So you got to check NOTAMs to make sure you don't have a naval vessel within 3,000 feet of your area of operation. So that's just one example of a lot of the weird things that may come up on a NOTAM, but may not be in Before You Fly. Stadium TFRs are another big issue. Stadium TFRs are hit or miss depending on your provider.
Right. And and let me just amplify what Rob is saying. If you've gone through your Part 107 preparation for the exam, you know that NOTAMs are cryptic. And so it's not in English. It's not easy to read. It's not easy to decipher. And the stadium TFRs and NOTAMs are a good example. They're written once. And so you have to figure out, does the sporting event that's happening at the stadium pertain, because that will make the TFR active. And that gives them I think it's a 5-mile radius around the stadium. So these are, the professor's comment about this is 2024. We've got AI. We should be able to interpret and push these things into an application. We feel that strongly as well, that we still are pushing operators and pilots off to read NOTAMs in 2024 is ridiculous.
Yes, it's like reading a METAR. Like it's crazy. And back to the stadium thing, Dave, it's not just that. Then you have to look up the event time, and you have to figure out an hour before that. Then you have to figure out when the event was over and extend it to an hour after that. The event overtime isn't even something that's easy to ascertain. At least you can get the event start time. So it's.
And then when do they? Well, then you have to also add, when do they consider the event over? Because they also talked about how they even consider the start for some games. It's like, oh, people are getting in 10 hours early. Do they start the event then? Or what's the event? Do you have multiple events? And they talked about that too. It's like, oh, so there's a tailgate going on before this game, and that's included because it's an event at the stadium and stuff like that. So
I had an offline. Yeah, well, it should start at the designated start time. So like a Rangers game, if it starts at 7:05, that's when the TFR goes into effect at 6:05, and then it's an hour after the event, post event, when it closes. I did ask the FAA. I had some sideline conversations. Like Alex mentioned, this is an excellent opportunity for us to have one-on-one conversations and really get details of things that we can't get a good answer to. And I ask about preseason, because if you read the 99.7 TFR stipulations, it only covers regular and postseason events. It doesn't cover preseason. So you can go out there and fly preseason and get all the photos you want, even though those games are just as packed, which makes no sense. Yeah. So they mentioned to me that in the re-auth, there was a specific, and I have not dug into this, but they said there was a section that's going to expand the authority of TFRs to go outside of the NFL, MLB, NCAA, NASCAR, and Indy. But I think that's the 5 that the 99.7 sporting TFRs cover. So that's something that we're going to need to know, like as a recreational industry, because it's going to confuse things even more on us figuring out when and there are and are not TFRs. Sideline conversation as well. I asked about network remote ID. Apparently it is on the pipeline for the future, but there's nothing currently being discussed. So I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
Okay.
The other 2 major things on the Part 108, they mentioned, and this is all stuff that's being proposed. This is not in no way what it's going to end up being. This is not, don't take this and run with it and say this is what's happening. This is potential proposals. They were very clear on that. Based on legal stuff. None of this is final rule. This is just what's being proposed. They're talking about 2 paths to regulatory compliance for Part 108 BB loss. One would be operational permits. That's expected to be like low oversight, really easy to get. They even specifically said, rather than waiting months or years, like just days to get this. And that pathway would be suited for like our kind of operators, our FPVFC, for smaller aircraft. Then they're looking at a second mechanism under operational certificates, a lot more extensive. That's going to be more so for industry. It's going to require inspections, thorough reviews, things like that, standards that are going to be set forth by industry. They mentioned that there are 8 categories for BV loss ops that are being proposed. Let me look. I wrote them down somewhere. Package delivery, agricultural, aerial survey, demonstrations, civic interest, flight testing, flight training, recreational, and then other to specify, to include new things that come up. But this was a win though, everybody, because recreational, it looks like it's going to move forward as a category for BV loss. So that's really big news, because that means that our efforts are working, that recreational is being considered, and that we are being represented even in the Part 108 stuff, which that was a big surprise to me. I don't know how the rest of the group feels about that, but I think that's a small win.
I was going to jump on that one and amplify that a little. Dan and I spent a lot of hours in the Beyond Visual Line of Sight Aviation Rulemaking Committee, and Jay Merkel, the FAA UAS Integration Office Executive Director at the time, now it's Jeffrey Vincent, said, and he was co-chairing the BV Loss ARC, said, we have done all of the regs that we need to on recreational. We're done. This BV loss ARC will not incorporate any recreational regulations. And boy, there were a lot of people on those calls, and they got real tired of listening to me whine and complain about, well, this would be applicable for recreational. Well, this could easily be extended for recreational, right? So I'm thrilled that, and I get it. It's they're fixing to do this, so it's not locked in. First, we have to see the NPRM, then we have to comment on the NPRM, then we get the final rule. So this is still probably a year to several years out. However, the fact that there will be a recreational category is just fantastic. And as yes, Rob described, it's highly likely that we could hopefully see a recreational type of pilot, a Part 107, and then a Part 108. And to me, that makes a ton of sense. And hopefully, we could carve out that recreational, its remote ID is sufficient to have broadcast and doesn't need network, because absolutely the network remote ID is all over the FAA Reauthorization Act of 2024. So let me just highlight that my thanks to Alex and Rob for going to this event. It's mostly commercial. We know that. It's very expensive. We think it's ridiculous that the FAA has an event that's tied to AUVSI that's making money hand over fist. And the best way to get the information and to talk to the FAA is to go pay a usurious fee. We've done that. And so we picked up on Alex a couple weeks ago, heard confirmation that the BVLOS NPRM would be out this year. And then both Alex and Rob were able to get a lot more detail, knowing that that was the fact going into this FAA symposium. So again, I'll add my thanks to our members to thank you for the dues. This is what we spend the dues on travel and equipment and getting us to events like this, and as well as community and member events. So thank you.
Absolutely. Anything else to add, Alex? Or
I think that covers a lot of it.
okay, perfect. All right, so to kind of round us out, a couple of quick hits. This is a good deal here. This is definitely a Drones for Good story. So this community in Utah is raising money for a man who sacrificed his drone to help find stranded boaters on Utah Lake. So this happened in Linden, Utah. Stefan Cici, I'm going to say CCU, rarely goes to Utah Lake, but this past Saturday, it's where he decided to fly his drone. He said, "I thought I would stop by the marina there, fly around a little bit, and just enjoy the scenery." Within minutes of setting up to fly, he said first responders started to arrive at Linden Marina. "I thought I should ask the officer if I'm still allowed to take off given the emergency situation, and he said, 'Oh yeah, go for it, no worries at all.' He approached me again a couple minutes later and asked what the range on my drones were. That's when CCU said that he was told about the family of 7 whose boat was taking on water and slowly sinking somewhere between Linden Marina and Saratoga Springs. It was scary knowing that so many people were in danger in the water and they couldn't be reached or where they were. After speaking with officials on the scene, CCO let his drone take flight to search for the family. Officials say about 2.5 miles in, CCU found them and was able to give their GPS coordinates to rescuers. I saw from about 400 feet up,
Just
a
under
block
400
of what,
feet.
right, what looked like a big piece of wood that was still, there wasn't any water that was disturbed around it. I got closer, and with each closer look, it just felt like it was the family. Unfortunately, CCU's drone didn't make it back. I was getting warnings. The battery was low, won't reach back to its home point, and frankly, I didn't care. The fact that I was able to find the family and help secure their safety was way more rewarding than having that drone for another few days." CCU said that one of many who helped the family, first responders, other boaters on the water, an off-duty Orem firefighter, and the family's life jackets all helped them get to safety. "I was just a guy who was in the right place at the right time and was willing to go a bit out of his comfort zone to help. Anyone can do that. Just be willing to help out your peers." So his GoFundMe is posted here. I'll pull that up for you guys. So currently it's at 2,472 of $1,000 goal. So hopefully he definitely gets a new drone with that. But that's epic. If you feel like donating to that, feel free. This is definitely a Drones for Good story, and awesome that he was able to use a drone to help that family out. So really cool. Really proud of that man. So yeah, good deal there. All right. We've got Deadpool and Wolverine. I haven't gotten to see the movie yet. I've heard it's really good, but they did a drone show to promote it, and it breaks the
Really
world
good.
record twice. So a drone show themed around the film Deadpool and Wolverine broke the Guinness World Record for the largest aerial display of a fictional character formed by drones twice. That's a very specific world record. The drone show by
How world records work.
Sky Elements, which was co-sponsored by Marvel, set the record at San Diego Comic-Con by using 1,599 drones to form an image of Deadpool, the hero played by Ryan Reynolds in the film. The show broke the same record moments later with an image of Hugh Jackman's character Wolverine featuring 1,607 drones. Sky Elements previously set the same record during Christmas 2023 with an aerial image of the Nutcracker. The company's main goal with this record was to showcase our abilities like never before. Tyler Kubik's production manager at Sky Element told Guinness World Records of the latest show, "The drone show medium is ripe to have the greatest stories ever told through it. Anytime Sky Elements has a chance to showcase this medium on a global scale, we'll do it." So there's a, I don't know if it's going to show, but I'll pull it up on Instagram here. This is kind of a sped up time lapse of the drone show. Is it coming through, you guys?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay.
Yep. It's looking good.
So pretty cool. You got fireworks mixed in with it. So pretty neat.
Those drone shows are really cool as long as they don't turn into advertising and hover around my windows with their own hover over my city all night long with advertisements.
That's funny.
But I shouldn't give
Galactus
anybody any ideas.
Right. All right. So we'll cap it off with a drones for funny. This is kind of cool. Kind of funny. Bentley wants to make a flying bee badge really fly with a tiny drone patent. So this drone could help owners find out parking spots and alert emergency services to accidents. Bentley's drone could be operated from a smartphone or through the infotainment display. High-end car manufacturers are continually looking for ways to add new features and technologies to their vehicles, and Bentley could be going tech-heavy with its latest feature, an onboard drone. So patent images reveal the top of the small drone would encompass the flying bee badge and feature 4 small propellers. Bentley describes the drone as weighing no more than 250 grams, let's hope, and says it could be charged while docked underneath the hood. AutoGuide reports that Bentley has thought of several ways the drone could benefit its owners. For example, it could be used to find alternative routes through traffic, alert emergency services to accidents, and potentially lead the owner back to the vehicle should they ever lose it in a parking lot. Perhaps the most handy option would be to send the drone ahead to find a parking space. Oh, God help me.
I thought if you could afford a Bentley, you had people that did that stuff.
Right. So the images in the patent appear to be preliminary, as Bentley is thought to be targeting a plinth or coffin shape for the drone. It also wants to add illumination to the launching pad, the drone, and the flying bee badge itself. The drone could be operated through the owner's phone, tablet, or computer and be controlled from the vehicle's infotainment system. I have questions.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, me too.
It
It sounds like we're creating problems and then using drones to solve them rather than the opposite.
Yeah. Oh, God. So I
At
know
that
this
point,
was
just have a
hilarious.
networked car system where all cars talk to each other. You just see where cars aren't.
Oh, jeez. This is crazy. Oh,
I had one item on the NDAA.
yeah. Go for it, bud.
I know we've been talking about the NDAA, and I'm not sure if we talked about this 2 weeks ago, but the Senate version has incorporated the call it the Stefanik language that adds the DJI banning via FCC to the NDAA. Is my understanding. That means, and Rob, correct me if I'm wrong here, that the Senate version, if it passes, will have the same language or be very, very close to the House version of the NDAA, which has already passed. And that means that there will be no need as when they go into conference for reconciliation of the bill. And that means that this will be part of the law. And that's really unfortunate. So don't mean to
it's not part of the Senate side NDAA yet. Rick Scott, Florida guy, he proposed this amendment to the NDAA, but right now they're in August recess until who knows when, but it'll be after the end of August.
Okay, so it's not written in. Do you know if they're still in committee, or is this gone out to the floor of the Senate?
All I was told is that Rick Scott proposed it as an amendment, and then they went into recess for August. That's all I know. I don't know any other details.
All right. Yeah, this one may be worth spinning up a request to pester our Senate, our two senators for each of us, whatever state we live in.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
All right. Anything else, Dave?
No, nothing. Oh, yes, I'm getting closer on my DAC standard remote ID write up. We'll be posting that on our website. It's about done in terms of draft, and now it'll be a long road to get it out and get that circulated in front of the FAA and then potentially in front of Congress. The idea being finding an alternative for smaller manufacturers so that they are not out of compliance with the standard remote ID regulation that went into effect on September 2022.
Okay, awesome. Dan, anything for us?
I don't have anything from me, but Steady Eddie does say in the YouTube chat that he was witness to Dave flying in a race, but he is still waiting for Dave's DVR so he can make an edit of the footage.
So the the local chapter of Multi GP Full Tilt FPV, they've accepted me as a member. Why, I'm not sure, but I'm grateful. They put on an outstanding race. Invited people from a neighboring state. It was run so smooth. So it was a really delightful event. And one of my friends rides an MV Augusta, and he rides it very, very quickly. And he characterizes Harley Davidsons as mobile pylons. And I was flying so slowly that I was thinking of my friend. I'm a mobile pylon to these guys. I feel really bad, but I will get better. And it was a fantastic event. And I need to dig out the DVR, Eddie. Thank you again for a great event. And to me, Alex, I'm beginning to understand why you get so excited and so jazzed about racing with Multi GP. It's the people, the fun of it, the excitement, and it was great. And I crashed, and I didn't hurt myself, so I can't do that on my motorcycle. So this is great. I enjoyed the heck out of it, and thank you for all the guys in Full Tilt FPV.
Full Tilt and Steady Eddie, you guys are my personal heroes for getting Dave out there racing. Yep, and we're gonna pester him to get you that DVR because I want to see it myself.
Yeah, Dave, DVR, it didn't happen.
I know,
right?
That's what my son tells me all the time.
I don't believe it till I see it.
That's right.
Personal hero, sir. Personal hero. So congratulations to you to get Dave out racing. We've been bugging him for years to either find someplace to race, or we're going to develop a geriatric racing team for him.
Yeah, I am looking for the over 60 category. That's I'm going to ask Chris Thomas about that. Over 50 is not enough.
That's awesome. All right, Alex, anything to help round us out here? You good?
Anything on the race calendar?
Next thing I know of on the race, actually, this weekend we have our first Pro Spec race. I forget where it's at, but pretty sure it'll be live streamed. But it's first Pro Spec race. Racing
Kansas City, I believe.
Yeah, Kansas City. Yeah, Kansas City. That makes sense.
Yep. Yeah. Everything. It's like Pro Spec is lighting up YouTube. It's great. It's exciting.
Yep. So
larger, slower, good for spectators, good for participants. I'm loving it.
Yep. So that's going on this weekend. And then I don't know of any other major events in drone racing until Champs, which is October. So, but we just have the GQ season that goes until the first week of September, I believe.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Cool.
Good stuff.
Rob, you got anything to round us out for this evening, sir? Close us
Yeah,
out.
just not necessarily FPV, just interesting fact to all things airspace. So I was in an advanced air mobility meeting here a few days back, and I asked these flying Ubers, these VTOLs that are going to deliver people. I asked like what the discussed altitude is for this. Like, are these going to be operating in our airspace? Are they going to be operating like, how's this going to work? And I was told that that at least what they're looking at, the model is that these flying Ubers are going to be around the 4,000 foot level. So I thought that was kind of interesting. That's way up there, but if they have a parachute, I'm more than welcome. I'm more than willing to try one.
Yeah, I'll wait a little while.
Who needs a parachute? Just do it.
Yeah, it's funny because I've watched a couple of these videos with these people flying FPV or drones, I guess, with the rotors. And my concern is what happens when a prop breaks.
They've got extras.
At
A lot of
some
them are
point.
octocopters, so they've got.
Well, I'm not worried about that. I'm
redundant-
worried about the shrapnel.
Who cares?
Play the odds, play the
Yeah, I
odds.
know, right?
It's going. The prop line isn't in the same. I don't think any of the aircraft I've seen, the prop line's in the same plane as the people. Plus the propeller would go upwards like that, and that kind of a cone. So
Yeah, so
more than
don't
likely,
fly in formation.
it'll come up. Actually, you could fly right next to each other at the same level,
Yeah,
and it would
so-
still be outside of that cone.
So pilotless taxis are already flying in UAE and in China. So of course we're not going to learn about any negative incidents coming out of China, but should be interesting to see if any news over the next year or so comes out of the UAE.
The
So-
vertiport,
That'll be
the charging structure, that's actively being planned right now at lots of levels, including the federal, because we have to have not only the charging capability, the framework at the airports, we also have to have the vertiport set up that they can, come up and down from. So
Yep,
it's pretty
4,000.
forward-thinking stuff, but it's
Yeah,
coming.
4,000 feet
Still
really
adds.
surprises me. I thought you would have said that they were going to try to get allocated between 500 and 2,500, but 4,000. Wow, that puts them right into private aircraft space. Oof.
Mhm.
Okay.
Definitely, call me a sky. You
Exciting.
first, Rob. And I'm going with a ballistic vest and ballistic helmet. So
Let's do it.
all right, guys.
FPVFC trip.
What's that?
FPVFC trip in one.
We might have to. You're gonna have
Don't
to
all
dress me
take.
for-
We can't all
maybe
take
a
the
little
same
bit.
one at the same time. Just
That's
in
right.
case.
Yeah, no.
Right.
We take our own, and we do the town hall from those.
There you go. There you go. That would be.
We see someone
Raise.
drop on the
Okay.
video feed. Well,
All right. Alex is not the treasurer of this organization.
it's a good thing I wasn't volunteering.
That's funny. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us this evening. Hopefully you had fun. If anybody sees a flying Bentley B out there at some point, shoot a video for me. But at any rate, thanks for joining us this evening. We'll give you a few minutes of your evening back, and we'll see you again in another 2 weeks. And again, thank you to you guys for helping Alex and Rob get to the FAA symposium. That's awesome that we were able to go and really engage with the FAA and other industry stakeholders in the commercial space.
And if there are
so-
other events like that you folks hear about, let us know if we don't know about them, or if there are drone events around the country that our presence would be helpful, even if it is just for comic relief or one of us flying and racing. But seriously, we're happy to be there to represent what we're trying to get accomplished.
Absolutely. So please reach out, let us know. And thank you to you guys for helping us support the community. We absolutely 100% appreciate it. So with that, I'll say good night and thank you for joining us this evening. Have a good one.
Fly so high What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through.